if you have an awesome week or something great happens, like what do? You use huggers,
Well,
you use high
nah,
fives?
he doesn't like touch. I like touching him to stir him up, but like he doesn't.
That's nice.
My dream is to improve the residential building industry for all involved. Throughout this podcast, we're going to be chatting to all types of industry experts to make sure that builders, tradies and clients all have a fantastic experience. G'day guys, how you going? Welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are back in the shed and we've got an absolute cracker for you today. I know I say that pretty much every time, but
We do that too.
These guys are unbelievable. Known these guys for quite a while now and can't wait for you to meet them. So big warm welcome to Ed and Dan, the Trademutt boys.
Thanks for having us, mate.
No worries. I am blown away that you're here. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Love what you guys are doing. And just what you're doing for the industry or mental health in general, really.
Thanks, mate.
Mate, yeah, a lot of hard work, a lot of lessons along the way, which I'm sure that we'll talk about. But yeah, it's true what they say, mate. It's very much all about the journey. That's one thing that we have learnt, and the journey continues. So yeah.
Yeah. No, well, I'm really keen to get into your story. We've just been talking behind the scenes about through COVID and some challenging times and stuff. So like this podcast Level Up is aimed at builders and tradies and leveling up the building industry, getting people running better businesses, understanding what's involved with running a business, but also telling people stories, because I'm sure you guys have learnt some pretty hard lessons. Like, you're pretty young fellas and you jumped in the deep end with what you're doing. So, and like I just saw you've just won an award. So congratulations for that.
Do you remember what it was called?
I forgot again.
Best men's mental health program in the country, national, awarded by the Australian Men's Health Forum. So absolutely chuffed. Chuck it on the shelf and keep on going.
Yeah,
right?
it's very exciting.
So yeah, pretty amazing. Like, it's been a big 12 months for TAX.
Yeah.
Huge 12 months. Like,
so what's TAX for those that don't know?
Well, yeah, so TAX is a not-for-profit that Ed and I founded, which is the acronym for this is a conversation starter, but essentially it's a free mental health support service for tradies, truckies and blue-collar workers. We promote it as a early to mid-intervention support service, so a bit further up the stream from crisis support. So you're having a bad day, a bad week, or you're just feeling a bit off, contact TAX. But also we promote it for support networks as well. So the families and loved ones or mates of people who are doing it tough often, are there having to deal with and help those people, and they're not sure how. So, yeah, if you're in that situation as well, TAX is there for support networks too.
So is that a 1-800 number or something?
0488 46988.
Excellent.
Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Free of charge.
You were just telling me some of the stats for that. Like, do you want to let the viewers know? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so we just ticked over. So, 1,000 clients just last month. So over 10,000 individuals have reached out to TAX in the last 2 years. So just under $2 million worth of free care provided to the community free of charge. So it's pretty epic. It's basically the way, like I like describing it to people. And sort of, you had a free gym membership and you go to the gym Monday to Friday, 8 to 10. And every time you went to the gym, you had a PT and you worked out for free for 45 minutes. It's the exact same thing, but for your brain.
Yeah.
And basically 6, 8, 10 sessions. Come in, get triaged, work from a program from I need you to we no longer have to have this communication because we've improved you. And if we haven't, well, then this is the next level of care that we can get you involved in. So
it's actually like a program that they get
100%.
taken through. And
depending on the individual coming through, I mean, everyone's, everyone's individual. That's the whole thing. So everyone has a different set of issues or different circumstances in their life. And so, basically our clinicians will tailor an approach, with the goal of taking you from point A to point B. Basically, we exist so that people don't need us, right? We want to take people from where they are and map out that journey for them to mental wellness. Always, if they need to come back and go again, we're always going to be there. But it's really important for us, being such results-driven former tradies, we like to see, it's not just like call us all the time, we'll always be here for you. It's like, no, you're here, and we want to get you from here to there. So,
That's unreal. Like, hats off to you for doing that. And like, I was pretty blown away with the stat. Like, what'd you say? There's only 55% of men and the 45%.
55% of callers are male, which is awesome, because a big thing, obviously, for us is trying to reduce the rates of suicide, and with working in the trade and construction industry, mainly in mining sectors, obviously it's very male dominated. So for us to be able to actually break through and get blokes asking for help, because we don't often talk about like suicide. Well, we never talk about suicide statistics with Trademutt, but obviously males do make up majority of those statistics.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to break through and not only have them call, but for them to resonate enough to actually call us is fucking awesome, because it's like we're cutting through, you know.
It's amazing. Like I just think it's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, again, hats off to you. And the thing that I've learned over the years, like coming through business and growing and learning all those things, and you get so tied up in business, and like at work, you can be a real prick to someone and push them along. But you never know what someone's dealing with. And I actually had another builder tell me a story a couple of weeks ago. Like one of his guys was turning up late, fluffing around a little bit, completely not himself. And when he pulled him in the office to have a word to him, he'd found out that only like a couple of weeks earlier, his wife had tried to commit suicide. So you never know what people are dealing with behind the scenes. Like and especially after the last couple of years we've been through, like everyone is dealing with something.
Totally.
And that's at the extreme end of things too, right? There's a whole spectrum of things that everyone's dealing with that isn't suicide or isn't an attempt to suicide, right? So yeah, it's there's a whole massive bucket of things that people are dealing with out there for sure.
Yeah, and I suppose a big thing for us, like even the conversation we've had before we started, it's sort of like we just need to be just talking more.
Yeah.
And like I've noticed, and like like the psych session I had today, like I was talking to him about like, you know, the first couple session my wife and I had with him, like I don't know, it must have been 2 months ago or something.
So you guys use your own service?
No, we can't. The irony. So we've got to fork out $180 a clip. Anyway, that's a whole other story. That's a whole other podcast.
Mate,
yeah. But so the stuff I was saying to him, I was like, I've become like so much more self-aware, like myself. I'm writing down and telling my mates about it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, the struggles we have with finances, like all of the shit that goes on with, you know, with staff and just life and everything, just like talking it out. And then all of a sudden you realize that they're then more willing to talk to you about what they're struggling with. And you're like, fuck yeah, this is awesome, because we're all talking about this and now we're solving problems. And
well, it's the conversation starter.
Mate, 100%. Yeah. But it's like, it's not just doing it and like, you know, we do a podcast and blah, blah, blah. It's like, fuck, 100% like doing it, you know, like talking to our staff, like, coming back upstairs and being like, fuck, I just had a psych session and I cried for 15 minutes. It was fucking full on. Everyone's like, well, you know, we're talking about
Seems like, what the fuck's wrong with my boss?
Yeah. Did you know what I mean?
Who
like,
do I work for?
It's fucking awesome. So we're getting a great deal of probably empowerment out of being able to have those conversations just on a real level with, not only the community, but our staff.
And that was something we always kind of not struggled with, but always talked about a lot, was it like, we're not mental health professionals. Like we don't know. And that's, we say to people, like, don't listen to us. Like, we're not here to give you advice or whatever, but what we've discovered through the journey, just over 4 years now, is that we're on our own mental health journey, as is everyone. And the more vulnerable we can be about that, the more, you know, we can open up and talk about what we're going through. As Ed said, the more comfortable we make it for others to open up and talk. And that's the point of these shirts as well. That's that whole thing.
And it's not even just like mental health, obviously it encapsulates everything. Like it affects you daily, but it's also, you know, like mates of mine, they've got a little building business, and like they're talking, like I've been talking about how much financial stress we've been under as an organisation and like business partners and stuff. And then they're like, oh fuck, like, yeah, well, us too. And this is what's going on. And I'm like, fucking oath. Like, you know, you need to get a coach. We've done this with a coach. And they're like, yeah, okay, awesome. Like we'll reach out and find someone.
There's not a business owner out there that doesn't understand the stress of cash flow.
Yeah. Cash flow's king. But it's unbelievable. Like obviously, I'm on this mission to change an industry or create a new one, and it's been funny. Like even since we started this podcast, the amount of messages we get just from people saying, "Oh, I didn't know," like they hear another builder I'm talking to having a conversation, like, "Oh, I thought I was the only one dealing with that." Like, I think a big part of it is, and it's just a bloke thing, isn't it? Like, and the tradie thing, like. You think you have to know, like you progress through the industry, you get your own business.
We're all bullshit artists.
Yeah, like you.
Oh, everything's sweet. It's all bullshit. It's just all fucking bullshit.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
It is. It's like everyone struggles. It's fucking hard. It's not easy. If it was, then fuck.
Everyone work for themselves.
Yeah, it's just like it's not like, you know, it goes to such like extreme lengths. Like even like reading the other day, like Facebook like lost $1 billion in the last 12 months. Like. You tell me that Mark Zuckerberg isn't fucking like, Jesus Christ, things are tough. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's from fucking one end to the other. It's like everyone feels it. So, the idea we get through unscathed is wild.
Let's take it back a bit for those that don't know. So, you guys were tradies.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
I've still got the ticket. Still got the ticket somewhere.
Supposedly, yeah.
So just refresh my memory. Chippies.
Chippies, yeah. So Ed and I are both chippies. So yeah, we met on a building site here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
We've got a crazy story of how we met, but we ended up on a site together, working for the same builder on the same day, starting out. So I was a couple of years out of my trade as a chippy.
So you had to drag him along.
Well,
I attached myself to him like a barnacle.
he was just, Woody from Toy Story over here was just,
I was just keen to learn.
fresh off a stint wrangling cattle and wrangling women out bush, right?
That's what he says.
I've never forgotten that.
No, you haven't.
But yeah, so we that's how we met with the two newbies. And so we kind of got lumped with each other. Big waterproofing job was probably the one that bonded us together more than anything.
Yeah.
Old mature age first year over here was whinging. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this bloody waterproofing job? This is
going back to
absolutely
the
shit.
territory. This is shit house.
You know what I mean? And I've kind of just said to him, I'm like, mate, like I'm 6 years into my trade, 2 years out of my time. I'm like, mate, they're testing us.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up. Just stick with me. Let's just get this done. It's a test. It's a test of character. Just get it done. We'll be good to go. It's been a test ever since. Everything we've been through together has constantly been a test.
It's a test. They're testing us.
I don't know whether we're passing, but we're still here. So,
Mate, you're doing a good job. But is it true? Like you've got a Jim Carrey thing or something, don't you? Like you
big Jim Carrey fans.
Yeah.
Big
Don't
Jim
ask
Carrey
us
fans.
to do an impersonation. We were asked to do our best Jim Carrey impersonation recently at an event that we were speaking up in Toowoomba. Buddy Jimmy O'Shea. He asked us to do our and we were just like, oh god, no, not in public.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
But yeah, that's we bonded on site. I mean, you know what it's like.
Megan.
One of the best things about working on a building site is the camaraderie that you build with your workmates and the absolute shit that you talk with each other all day while you're getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Something I really miss. Obviously, we've brought that to our office environment now. It's not the same. You gotta read the
Dial it
audience,
a
read the
little
crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how we kicked it off, mate. It's just a common sense of humour and a similar work ethic, I would say. And we certainly got through a few precarious tasks there on site together. So it was good times.
So how do you go from being chippies, getting sucked into doing waterproofing on a job to now running an incredible business?
Well, we used to do we did a lot of cashies together, right?
Love cash jobs. Miss cash jobs. Cash jobs are great.
Hey, cash is almost gone.
cash.
You don't hear about it anymore.
Really?
True that.
Not a lot of cash around
Yeah.
We love
It's a bit
cashies.
taboo, isn't it? Near cash, isn't it? It's a bit dirty, something like that.
I'll
So,
take it.
Well,
Yeah.
people say, well, you do cash, but
Yeah.
then when it's time to pay, like, oh, you got a machine?
Yeah, exactly
No,
right.
That's not the
That's not
same.
cash.
mate.
Totally. Yeah. So we were at the time. I was kind of kicking off some of my own jobs on the weekend, after hours, that kind of stuff, and being an apprentice, mature age as well. Ed was keen for a bit of extra cash, so he had a healthy appetite for knowledge, you might say. So was keen to just come along, give us a hand. So that was starting to kick off, and we were sort of working 7 days a week together. We were working for the builder that we were working for. 6 a.m. till sort of 4 p.m. and then we'd knock off Monday to Friday and go and do little renos and stuff at night time.
Yeah.
And we'd go do the same thing on Saturdays and Sundays, and we were making some pretty good money. I was paying him $50 an hour. First year
Holy
apprentice.
shit.
I know.
Fucking worth
4
it,
years
though.
ago.
Cash.
Getting
I
out
know.
of bed
I
Sunday
know.
morning.
He
Mate.
doesn't know how good I was to him.
Mate,
Oh.
that's a good deal.
But we were kind of
Well,
putting out.
everything was 50-50 anyway, so it doesn't matter. We just
became that.
pulled it all up.
It became that because we said we were doing this work and we're making this cash money. We were like, our mates, we're out pissing it up on the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays and that kind of stuff, which, we would have
We
probably
would've been
loved to have
doing
been
the
doing
same
as well.
thing,
But
Oh, no, I've seen some pretty photos of you pretty pissed.
Oh, yeah. I can still get
wearing
pretty
dresses.
pissed.
Yeah, there's a few out there.
Getting lost.
But so we kind of put our heads together and we thought, well, we're working, why don't we just pull this cash together? Why don't we save this cash together and see if we can do something together?
Yeah.
So that was kind of that. We were working on that. It's in 2015 that I lost one of my best mates to suicide. Started December 2015. And that was my first experience with suicide. It's not something, I heard about it, never experienced in my life. And the range of emotions that you go through when you experience something like that is, again, a very unfamiliar set of emotions. And I haven't experienced anything like that since then. But, Ed, with us working together at the time, he was like my number one support network. All those 7 days we were working together. And poor bloody first year apprentice over here, he's still trying to figure out the difference between a left and a right-handed
I
screwdriver.
would have just been in second year then by then, but surely.
Still trying to figure out the difference.
Still trying to figure it out.
And he's having to deal with me when I'd rock up to site. in those early few weeks after that and just bursting into tears. You know what I mean? He's going to be there, the rock, and support me. Yet I'm meant to be his mentor. And so he's experienced that whole thing in a completely different way to what I did. But it's equally as traumatic, you might say. So we're both heavily affected by that. So we're working together still during those times after that. That experience had happened and really shocked us both. One of the things we used to talk about on site when, working together was, why are we wearing the same stuff to work all the time? Like, why has no one ever changed how of his workwear?
Yeah.
Like, we're wearing navy, khaki or whatever to work. We're just like, surely someone's done something.
It has to be.
But
And maybe it can't be done. We literally thought, it can't be done because someone would have done this. It just seems too easy.
Yeah.
But never did we think, we weren't like, oh, that's what we want to do. You know what I mean? Like, we knew how to build houses. We don't know how to sew.
Yeah.
So, but that was that. And we started to, down the road, we kind of, after this mental health, sort of journey that we'd been on, the experience of the suicide, we started to look into the space a bit and, thought something more needs to be done out there in the blue collar community, and we just started to talk, and these ideas of like, mental health, work, where, we learn about this concept of social enterprise and using profit for purpose in those times. And we, kind of just thought, maybe this is it. Like, maybe, making this work where, and using it as a positive message in mental health in the blue collar community was the way to go. And a bit of a crazy idea for a couple of chippies. And like, when we would talk about it on site with the boys that we used to work with, what are you doing? You guys are working all this, all these hours. Like, what are you doing with all this cash or whatever? And we're like, we're going to tip it all into, these 1,500 work shirts was our first order, 1,500 work shirts and 2 computers we bought. And I think, you guys are fucking crazy. Like, for mental health, like, what the fuck are you doing? And we kind of thought, no, we reckon maybe it's a good idea. And
It's
honestly, and we looked at it from our perspective and we were like, well, the worst possible outcome here with 1,500 work shirts is that we're each going to end up with 750 work shirts each to wear to work for the rest of our lives across the range of extra
Sizes.
small
We can
through
go
to
from
4XL.
we can be anorexic right up to morbidly obese in our life.
So we had room to grow
Shirts.
for sure. But that was as naive as we were. We were like, that's the worst possible outcome is that we left with a few shirts and we'll say we had a crack. But
Jumped in the deep end.
jumped in the deep end,
We're
made it on
fully
Channel
in.
7 News, and mate, rest is history. It's been full noise ever since.
You've done some pretty cool stuff, like sitting on a bloody shitter in the Queen Street Mall.
Well, that was another financial situation where we were fucked.
Yeah, let's
And we were
unpack that.
Yeah, we were fucked. We were broke. I remember we paid China, and we were just like,
Because you just paid China, the country. You just
Xi Jinping just sends you an invoice
there
and
you
you
go.
pay him. And then anyway, I just remember, I came back up from the bank and I was like, this is before we knew how to do like proper internet transfers and shit.
Yeah.
And I like exchange rate, you just get fucked by the bank, and we pay these big fees and whatever.
So
Anyway,
you guys really jumped in the deep end.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
we were
you had
fully.
very little, if any,
dealing with China.
business,
I'm dealing with
like-
China. I'm got tape measures out, and we're measuring back
he's using a
yokes
Stanley
and shit.
Fat Max,
Yeah,
right?
Stanley Fat Max to do like across your back yoke measurement, because like that is what.
So did they
fucking
send you
stops
like
that.
a diagram that you had to write all the measurements on?
No,
Like-
no, they'd send us, and then we'd have the spec sheet with like the measurements for all of what size they were supposed to be, and then you get a large, and you'd go, righto, that's got to be 31 fucking centimeters, and you'd go, nah, it's out, and then you'd write it down, and then you'd, oh mate,
But if you've seen a tape measure that like a seamstress uses or whatever,
Yeah.
like it's rolled up,
yeah,
it's,
it's,
it's
nice little
really
thing.
nice and easy.
But we're there with an 8
Using
meter
a-
Stanley Fat Max, like
It's like getting a big
just
kink
getting,
in it.
yeah, totally.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you've got the end, the end that's a bit loose,
loose.
whether you're pushing in or pulling out, So
And like we just had no idea what we're doing. Anyway, we still don't. But it was like, righto, I just remember going to Dan. I was like, we're broke here, because we'd had an investor that came on and gave us some money, but we just burnt it all. And like I just remember looking at Dan. I was actually reciting this story to someone the other day, and I was like, I just sat in Dan's Hilux, and we were parked in this car park in fucking Newstead, and I just had my head in my hands, and I was like, we have fucked this up. I'm like, we're fucked. We are so fucked. I was like, I got no idea. And Dan's like, yeah, well, fuck, I don't know.
I
Anyway,
reckon he thought we were fucked.
yeah, I was like, oh, we'll ring some people. So
Sounds like it.
we rang some people, and
Rung some
had a-
people
we
that
had a-
know some people.
we
Yeah.
had a meeting, and I remember like we were trying to plan some activation because we had no money, had stock, and we just had to sell it. I'm like, right, how can we do this without spending any money, because we can't? Right. I went and took a shit, and I came back, and I was like, toilets. I was like, I've been hiding in toilets my entire apprenticeship. I was like, people are hiding away with their emotions. I was like, there's something in this. I was like, there's that ties together. And then Dan just like, he was away, he was just like a bushfire. He was just like, right, we get Portaloos, we're gonna get onto Viking rentals, we're gonna get them wrapped, and it just rolled on and rolled. The Signorama wrapped them. Viking Reynolds gave us 2 brand new shitters. We rang the Brisbane City Council, said we're doing this in Queen Street. They gave us a spot for free. We went to JB Hi-Fi. They gave us a camera and 2 TVs, and we live streamed it.
That's got right. GoPros
got on the
inside,
Today Show,
yeah.
and then Carlos, and this is Dan's masterstroke. It'll be until the day we sell the business, but it was like this thing he did, and it was like Carlos was there. Dan's calling him Carlos on the Today Show. And he goes, you know, Carlos? And he goes, yeah, well, and you'll have to come back in the morning when we come out. And Carl goes, absolutely, we'll have to come back. So we got 2 breakfast prime time fucking live crosses.
Yeah.
So we did 65 grand or something in 2 days, saved the business. We were back, had cash.
Back and running.
Got out of the shit house. I remember we went and had breakfast the next morning. We were like, we're back. Fucking oath, we are back. And then
And
that
like
was
full of adrenaline, haven't slept at all the night before because you do like 2 live TV appearances like that. But knowing the circumstances that we were in, you know, all that kind of stuff. And the whole time, it's just us together.
Yeah.
The only people that are there, really, is just the 2 of us. We're in it. He's in it. I'm in it. If I'm in it, he's in it. It's like, yeah.
It's unbelievable, but what can come out of situations in that, like when you're in a situation and you can come up with an idea like that, and that can be the difference from like you ran with that idea, or you could have said, "Nah, fuck that. That's
We're done."
Who's
pressure.
going
Pressure makes diamonds, eh?
Yeah.
It's-
the thing I was
or this.
I was saying the other day because when we were to all this, or when we were in another situation recently where we were like trying to literally scrape together and figure out how we're going to make payroll. We're like, fuck, how are we going to pay everyone this week? So we're there doing the numbers and we're like, fuck, you know, it's very skinny. But I said, I rang my uncle that night. I'm driving home, and I was like, I've figured the business game out, right? It's like you just can't quit.
Yeah.
You just gotta fucking stick with it. Like as long as you stick with it, you can't lose. You lose when you stop. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like that. You know,
The whole thing is problem solving. It's constantly
the mouse
problem
in the
solving.
bucket of cream, like in the bucket of milk. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta keep fucking swimming because it's
churn
like,
that cream
churn
into
that
butter.
You just walk straight back
Yeah.
out, and then they get caught in a mousetrap or whatever. But you know, but that's literally it. That is literally it. Like all the you know successful businesses out there, business people, they just don't quit. They just don't quit.
It does come with a couple clauses though, right? Like you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah,
like it's
totally.
you know if you and you know
Well, there's never a problem, only solution. Like you've got to
Yeah.
keep looking for the solution. Like
Yeah.
that's it keeps driving you. But like obviously you got an incredible purpose. Like,
and that's the whole thing. And like, also, if we didn't have all of that, we probably would have thrown the towel in already because it's like greater than us. You know what I mean? Like we can't stop because we owe it to all these people we have helped, plus the other ones that will require help, including ourselves. So it's like we got to keep this fucking ship going. You know what I mean? And how do we make that work?
Believe the places I go. Like we do a bit of traveling in the caravan and that night. Like the places we go, and like we'll walk into a pub or walk into a bowls club or a caravan park somewhere. Someone will have socks, a shirt, a hat. Like Trademutt is taking over. Oh, I can't remember where it was, but we went somewhere just recently. I think it was somewhere out the back between Warwick and Toowoomba or somewhere, and we're driving along, and like my girls, when they get home from school today, they'll blow their top that you're here. But we're driving along on the highway, and my little one's like, "What's Trademutt doing out here?" And Camille and I are looking around. There's a big billboard with Trademutt on it in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, they are everywhere. Like,
that's how you know you made it. Hey, billboards.
Yeah.
Well, just on the way out here, I was just turning off. I don't know what road it was, but only just around the corner. In front of me, a bloke in his 4-wheel drive had the Mr. Feelgood on, the original Mr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
I don't even think he saw the Trademutt ute,
Yeah.
like turning, but I saw him in that shirt, and I was like, "Ugh!" Like I was like, "There's one."
Yeah.
So you must be pretty proud now, like just seeing the people in your gear and
It's cool. It's definitely
awesome,
it's definitely amazing. Like it's really awesome. It's great to consider ourselves to be a part of the social and cultural shift, which is what we wanted to do.
yeah.
The thing is, it has not been without its challenges. You know, we've had awesome times, we've had hard times. There's been tears, there's been laughs, and all that kind of stuff. But you know, like that award that we're talking about, it's like Ed and I. It's kind of funny. We never really stop and kind of reflect much on what we've done or the results we've had or the people we've helped because the job's not done. And it's kind of a weird thing because I don't think there'll ever be a point when the job's done. It's just a continual journey. There's always the next thing. So you get an award, righto. What's the next thing you got to do? What's you know, you build a house, you do a nice job. It's all right. Oh, what's the next one? What's the next one?
It's probably something that we need to like be better at because like all our staff, like like Donna the other day, like she was like in tears, like our customer service, like success manager, like she rang up, she was like in tears. She's like, I can't believe it's amazing. It's amazing. I was like, yeah, it's fucking great. Like, I'm like, I want to feel that, but I don't feel that. And it's like, it's the same thing like with JC, our alliance manager at TX. He's like, guys, did 1,000 calls in, like 1,000 people called in July. And I'm like, sweet, like that's great.
But I don't,
like,
yeah.
And it's not that I'm in this weird sort of thing. And it's like Dan was saying, it's like, that's good. We got fucking heaps more, like not enough people know about the service.
But I think
More people need to know.
it's kind of funny, because it's not like, I don't think we're like it's not that you're not satisfied, or it's not that, it's just that actually there's no goal that's like, oh yeah, when we get that, that'll be it. And I think that speaks to the fact that we generally do enjoy the process, and wanting to do more all the time is because we genuinely want to. It's not, they don't feel an obligation. There's no like specific target. I think that's just that fire burning. And I'd say probably when that fire isn't burning, then it'll probably feel a bit different. You probably feel like maybe I probably had enough, but that's not there. So yeah.
So who comes up with the new shirts and things?
Oh, Iris. Thankfully, we can't. I've said to Dan, like after the last 5 design meetings that she's had with us, I'm like, what the fuck else can we make? I'm like, I don't know what else we could possibly do.
Augmented reality.
Yeah, that's the other idea, but it would not right now.
So the collection that we've just brought out now, Ed always says, it's actually kind of changing, because he always says, like, we don't have a design bone in our bodies, or we don't know what we're. But I actually really love it. I'm like growing more and more and more to love the design process, and the, coming up with concepts and all that kind of stuff. With Iris, who's our lead designer. The collection that's coming out today. When does this podcast go to air? So whatever the date is today, we've got one coming out. Tricks of the Trade.
Yeah.
So it's the tradie circus theme, bit of carnival themed, right? The Ekka starts today. So when we're planning these collections, and this is 10 months ago that we're planning today's collection. Yeah. Like, righto, this is Q3 2022, August. Well, come to the end of winter, the Ekka comes to town in Brisbane. People are feeling a little bit more jovial. Why don't we do a bit of a carnival theme, bit of a circus themed collection? So, and that's where we're at now. So, we kind of think about what's going on in the time, the seasonality, all that kind of stuff, and then we try to, deliver meaningful messages through our prints as well. We try to. I'm not sure if anyone ever gets to it. They're just like they're loud prints or whatever.
You'll have to team up with the Maroons, wouldn't you? Do a Maroon shirt.
Wrong, you're talking to the wrong bloke, mate.
Come on.
Happy to talk about it, but whoo.
So, it's more than just workwear now, isn't it? But like the stuff you're doing, like some people like wearing it to pubs and clubs and weekend dress wear, and
totally,
like it's gone a long way, hasn't it?
Well, and that's another lesson we've learned. Like we've gone probably a bit too wide in our like offering. So it's like, if an architect shows a person, 30 different home designs, it's going to take them forever to make a decision. But if they tell them 3, they're like, that's the one I fucking want. Yeah. And like we've come to that realization too, like from a consumer mindset, too much is definitely too much. Like
that's a good business lesson, isn't it?
Less is better.
You gotta
narrow it in.
Yeah. And you don't want to create decision fatigue.
And the other thing too is it's like, and builders, 100%, it's like you are a professional and you know what needs to be done or needs to be built, rather than the client being like, I want this door to go swing out. You're like, no, you definitely don't want that. It has to swing in. You know what I mean? And like, we've got to take the same control with our customer base, because they just all the time, make this, make that, make that. Like, no, we don't need that.
Yeah, trying to be everything to everyone.
And this is why we make this.
That never gets you anywhere.
Yeah,
no, totally.
but it's hard. It's also a lesson for us, because we've never done this kind of business before. Well, no one really has, I suppose. So and that's one of the hard things as well. Like, we're not looking across, over our shoulders and seeing similar kind of businesses doing the same thing. What we're carving our own,
just rowing our
path,
boat out into the fucking Pacific somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, we are. We've only got one oar as well, just spinning around.
No, but and like I had a meeting today because that's the other thing. Like along the journey, obviously, like we're always asking for help, right?
Yeah.
And we've also and the way I explained it to this guy today who I was talking to, I was like, we've always reached out for where we needed the most support in our business. So like, finance, reach out to people, help with big 3-way budget, all this stuff, stock. Jess came in, she's buying director, fucking sorted that out. Facebook, get a professional, blah, blah, blah. Whereas we haven't had anyone It's coming from like a whole macro like business total. Like this is a fashion brand that does social enterprise workwear and donates 50% of its profits, and it's got a marketing team. And like I was explaining to him, I was like, mate, if we were just selling high-vis workwear and we didn't give a fuck about all the stuff we're trying to change in the culture around mental health, we would have a staff count of probably 5 people.
Yeah.
We got 12 because we like,
You
and
care.
it's a
You care.
yeah, but it's a detriment to, like, literally, like Dan's been saying, he's like, your biggest strength is also your biggest weakness, because we give so much of a fuck that we need all these people, because it's like, right, we need someone that can do all the EDMs and impact EDMs. Someone's got to write all the blogs. Someone's got to get it up on the website. You got to get the podcast done. Like all of that, it's just all that extra stuff. Whereas if we're just slinging high-vis workwear, it's like we just have a bloke answering the phone, some people making it, and pretty much
Happy
someone
days.
do a couple of social media posts, job done.
Yeah.
But whereas like we've got this whole thing. So now we're at the point where we're like, righto, we need someone from like a overarching business perspective that understands like fashion, which is also a weird thing to say, but it's what we are in, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, come and help us, because we reckon we've got all the little stages of the business sorted, but it's like, where are we supposed to take the whole thing now?
Yeah, you need a 1, 3, 5, 10 year
Yeah, totally.
plan.
Totally. And that's, you do need that. And last year we had a 1-year plan, right? And that plan
Wrong plan.
The wrong plan.
Yeah.
So we did have a plan.
Stop
and
the
we,
plan.
And we, exactly. Yeah.
Stop.
Cancel, abort, pull the parachute.
Stop
on
the plan.
So, mate, don't break first, though.
Parachute, then break.
Parachute, then break. Otherwise, trouble.
you're in trouble.
But yeah, so that 1-year plan, it didn't work. The world has changed. COVID was hard, right? For a lot of people, a lot of different businesses. The lag time, the after effects of COVID are really coming through now. We're seeing a lot in the building industry. But this year for us, that's probably this year for us. And so much happened this year, right? Like, at the beginning of the year, you had COVID unleashing. You had bloody floods up and down the East Coast. You had Russia invading Ukraine and fuel prices going through the roof. You got supply chain squeeze in the building industry. Like, everyone's feeling it. No one's got spare
Yeah,
cash.
it's interest rates.
We grew through COVID, and then this year it just went bang. You got inflation, you got an election, you got all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what we'd planned for, and the only thing that we could use to plan for or with was the data that we had previously, and that was going like that, right? And so, obviously we want to continue the success or the growth, but it's amazing how things change. So have a plan, but we've learnt this year that
got to be able to pivot.
You got to be able to pivot, and things happen outside of your control.
And also, it's like risks. Like our appetite for risk 6 months ago was, we'll borrow $500,000 and just spend it all on stock. What a fucking great idea. Now it's no more. Like, stop doing big risks. You know what I mean? Like, we can take smaller risks that have got good upside, limited downside. Like, let's just
Calculated risks.
Chip away month on month, not go, let's go all in one hit, because it's just trouble.
That clap's not going to sound good in these
I think
microphones.
Sorry. Just take that out. Just take that out, Shay.
Shaking over there. Like, one of the things we were talking about before we jumped on air, like the quality control, like, and it's something I never crossed my mind. And to be honest, it's not something I thought two chippies would be paying much attention to. Obviously, that's a cost of business. Like, tell the story you're telling me about the quality.
Well, I mean, it's from the start. It's always been like, when we had our first shirts, it was like, are the buttons sewn on properly? There's loose threads on these buttons. Like, we don't like that. What if these buttons fall off? Like, we need indestructible buttons. You know what I mean? That's not really a reality. Like, sewing a button on is just sewing a button on. But there's, it's like there's 1,000 different ways to do that. We went in traditional workwear this year. We went sort of expanded a bit into, because we figured if we're a social impact workwear company, we do funky workwear. Well, we might as well do all the workwear as well, because supporting Trademutt still supports TAX, and can still achieve some great outcomes. So part of that move was to bring pants in, plain pants, cuffed, straight legged, and some shorts. And as you go through the product development process, you get your first samples back, right? You do fit. I'm the large fit model.
I don't know.
So
it's all different to me, mate.
Well,
you're a fashion icon.
So I'm the large fit model at work. I just got measured up today. I've lost a centimetre around the waist, so something's working.
Thank you.
Clearly, but the samples come back and forth to China until you get them right. And it's everything from thread colour to button size and all that kind of stuff. But on the pants, the approved sample of the last pre-production sample had some really, high quality hardware on the buttons, the zips, all that kind of stuff, all the rivets around
Yeah.
the pockets and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because we look at it and we go, well, if tradies are wearing this stuff, the first thing they're going to look at is the hardware, and
Yeah.
like they want good quality shit.
And the whole thing is, it's like the whole step along the process. Because it's like one thing that used to really piss me off about the bloke we used to work for is that like his truck was always filthy, had shit everywhere, job sites were always fucking disgraceful, and it was like I was like, man, if I was paying someone like hundreds of thousands of dollars, or going to pay someone $100,000 to do a job for me, and they're rocking up to quote in this shitbox truck with shit
Yeah.
everywhere and just untidy, I'm like, not a great look. So like for us, it's like the workwear's got to be A1, packaging has to be schmick. It comes in a custom-made box. The whole experience needs to be good. The email that you get delivered needs to look really good. The experience on the website, because it's like we're asking people to part with their money.
Yeah.
It's got to
It's an
all
experience.
stack up. And if you get a dud experience, you're never going to buy it again.
Yeah.
And you're not going to tell your mates to buy it again.
Yeah.
Whereas we want it to be fantastic. Not only do we want you to keep buying it, we want to tell you everyone around you how fucking good it is.
And we've had plenty of times where things have rocked up and it hasn't been to the standard, and that's the pants.
Yeah.
Because when they rocked up,
So an order rocked up.
so an order of these pants rocked up, and everything that was approved and agreed on, for manufacture, they rocked up, come on a ship, takes 10 weeks to get over here. They arrive, we pull them out, and the button, all the hardware is just
you could
shit. It was
flick
like
it and it was all tinny.
tinny aluminium, it just
dog shit.
it just didn't, it rattled. You could hear it rattling if you hung them out in the line or whatever.
So
And I
what
was like-
happens with shit like that in your industry?
Well, I
Like,
was like, we can't sell this. I said to Jess and the buying team, I was like, we cannot sell this. Like, it just goes against
We snipped
what
the
we
buttons.
stand for.
We snipped them and got
Yeah, we-
repressed. Got good ones on there, good hardware.
To do them, with a set of nips. We had a set of nips. So it was probably about
So you did that?
450.
No,
we
we
did
found someone
some.
to do it.
So
Yeah.
we did some to show. So there's a little Vietnamese fella here in
Yeah.
Brisbane who has a textiles manufacturing business. He came and he replaced all the buttons on all the pants for about $1.50 a pair.
Yeah.
Set of nips, we were like, just take them off like this, pop the rivet, whatever, get the good hardware in there. But it was just like that type of shit keeps us up at night. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, it's
Yeah.
got to be good quality. And so we care a lot about it, and we care a lot about our customers, and that's maybe it's the tradie brain. I don't know. Like, maybe no one else would care about that stuff. Who knows? But we do. And like, that was a situation where we had to get all the buttons replaced
Yeah.
on all the pants onshore, just so that we knew that
and then
if they go
rebag
out-
them, then we'll send them out.
I think that's amazing. I mean, I think the listeners will appreciate that as well. Like, I think to go, it's no different to me building a house for someone. And I love like your analogy of the dirty job site. Like I'm big for that. Like it shits me at the moment. Like everything's just so hectic. There's a couple of our sites that are not up to my standard, but like I like paying the boys a few hours here and there, telling them, hey, knock off an hour early today, just spend an hour tidying things up, because
Yeah.
that's a reflection on my building business, and it's no different. Yeah,
Totally.
So you want you don't want them just to look good in wearing your product. You want it to be a whole experience.
We want
Like,
when someone gets home from
Yeah.
work and they've ordered a box of our stuff, which
Yeah.
is a few $100.
Yeah.
You get there, holy fuck, my Trademutt order's here.
Yeah.
Trademutt box. You know what I mean? Like I've been, like my where my wife used to work. I remember they had some work shirts rock up from like, I can't remember what the name of the company was, but like a country, workwear brand. And I just remember seeing it, like, because we used to make like coloured custom boxes, but we can't make them anymore because one, they're not biodegradable, and two, they're way too expensive to make. So now we make the brown ones, but with all their branding on the outside. But there was just a box with just fucking sticky tape and plastic and shit all pouring out. It was just like on the side of the cupboard,
Yeah.
and I was like, God, that looks shit house. And they were like commenting, because I like walking in this amazing looking box. And they're like, that's awesome. Like, is that shirts? I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, that's what the other order we got from like a competitor, I suppose,
Yeah.
rocked up the other day. And I was like, well, that's the whole thing. I was like, fuck.
So you guys are into the like sustainability and making sure like
Yeah, as much
less
as we
waste
can.
and all that.
Gotta
stuff.
be.
100%.
No choice. Yeah,
Yeah.
got to be. So yeah, all of our products are packed in compostable bags. So not biodegradable, but compostable means they can go back in the earth,
Yeah.
turn into worm food. We don't use swing tags on our products. We use washout labels. We just kind of reduce a bit of plastic on the collars and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Don't single. We used to, when we first started, we are like, well, don't single wrap all the shirts, because we'll just send them out in the mailer. Like, you don't need to single wrap them. So, before we started using the compostable bags, because we've got to have barcodes on all the shirts now, but it was like, there would have been tens of thousands of single-use plastic bags that we've saved.
You can't be when you're in when you're a social impact business, you can't just wave the flag on one hand, say, yeah, we're for mental health, but then contribute to a whole lot of, negative outcomes on the other
Socially,
hand.
yeah.
And that's a big thing for us. Like, integrity is key.
Yeah.
Like, we care so much about the space, and we're actually so fearful that anyone would ever call us out on using mental health to try and make a buck.
Yeah.
So we go above and beyond to make sure that every step along the way in our supply chain, we're creating to positive social outcomes. And that's something that, is really dear to us. And it probably costs us a lot of money, but in the end, integrity is key. And as long as our integrity is intact and we know that, we can sleep at night, knowing that, if anyone ever came in and had a look at our business, we could open our underwear drawer and say, there you go, check it out. There's me knickers, go on.
They stink.
So, yeah, it's an interesting one. But, but even like the services, it's the service is key, and sometimes, even when you're, say, not wrong, or say someone else, is incorrect,
they're pulling it on.
Yeah.
You got to just, sometimes it's worth biting the bullet. Actually, almost all the time it's worth just, sucking it up and getting it done right. Like our customer service, like Donna, the team, like we'll go above and beyond if anyone has a bad experience. If anyone has a defect in a shirt, like we'll replace it with 2, you know what I mean? No questions asked. Like the other day, this is actually hilarious. I wish I had brought these shirts. We had a return come in, right?
Yeah.
I won't tell you any details, but it was embroidered with an earth moving company and the name of the bloke on there. They had 3 shirts, brand new high-vis shirts. I reckon was wearing one of them, and it tore just down here on the shoulder, right? And then they're like, oh no, they've all torn exactly like that, and they've sent us back 3 shirts with a tear there and a tear there, and on 3 shirts, identical tears. Obviously done by hand with like a Stanley knife. But like, obviously they've torn it somehow and they've gone, hang on, I know how to cover this up. I'll do it on all 3 shirts and be like, your product's faulty, right? So they've sent this back and we've looked at it. It's embroidered with the company and the name of the employee on there and this kind of stuff. And we're like,
This is a lie.
We're like,
but here's some replaced
replace
shirts.
it with all of them. That's all right.
But like
mate, you're going to get them, aren't you?
A fun
Like,
story for you.
But
So.
it's like a really easy thing for us because like
Kill them with kindness.
Yeah,
That's
like
our rule.
Our customer success team, because they're like always like, oh, like what else do we need to be doing? I'm like, we just never want to hear that anyone's had a bad experience or they never heard back.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that's the job. Like just reply to everyone, give them a great experience. That's it.
Yeah.
Like it's just like.
And I think when you do that in any business, you pull the people up that are trying to take the piss. Because they're like, oh, shit, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we'll just send you a free. I remember, that's right. Someone, they sent a photo of a shirt and it was just completely rooted. It was just rooted. And I looked it up and that had it for like 2 years. Like, I'm like yeah, mate. I was like, that's a worn out shirt. But I didn't go, mate, it's fucking having it on. I was like, yeah, no worries, send you a new shirt out, send it out. This is unbelievable.
That's
you know what I mean?
There. You
But
got to
you know
draw
what I
a
mean?
line somewhere.
You know what I mean? But this is the thing. But people don't do it. That's one person in 4.5 years.
That
So
person
it's like,
goes and tells 10 other people
oh,
about
look at the
how
amazing
awesome
experience.
this
You know what
was.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's
So
like that's
9
just the
new
thing.
customers that all we had to pay for was $65 one shirt. It's kind of the way we look at it. So
Bloody hell, he's a good bloke, aren't you?
Well,
he is when he's asleep. So
what's like? Obviously, you've made it through some challenging times, and you're just saying this year's been the hard year. Like they do say that, like any business that can make it through the 3rd and 4th year will be successful. So, like I have no doubt. Like your purpose is amazing, so I have no doubt you're going to power on. But it's how you deal with these situations, isn't it? Like that'll make or break you.
Totally. And you have those moments where like we talk. Like I'm so grateful that. We're both so grateful that we got each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny
I couldn't
relationship.
imagine what it'd be like being a sole operator, but that's a whole other podcast.
So what do you do? Like, if you have an awesome week or something great happens, like what do? You use huggers, you use high fives?
Nah, he doesn't like touch. I like touching him to stir him up, but like he doesn't.
That's nice.
But he
makes me feel funny.
we're just on the phone like fuck all the time. Like he was.
We do. We've got a high five. We do a backhand high five that we do to each
got
other.
That stuff, but like I mean, we're just constantly communicating with each other. Like even like driving here, we're on the phone to each other pretty much the whole way. Like, and on the way when we leave here, I'm sure we'll probably be on the phone for an hour just talking complete snot. And
But it's always like I don't know, like a lot of problem solving, a lot of like, you know, we each take turns of like being up and down, and when the other one's down, the other one will lift the
it's
other
like
one
a
up.
marriage.
It
It's
is
a
exactly
marriage.
like a marriage,
It
and
is
we
a
talk
marriage.
about this, and he talks about with his wife as well. And it's actually a bit of an issue because I think we communicate better in our marriage than what he does in his actual marriage. So
I just say that to him to make him feel special.
Well, that's a marriage.
I know it's true. I mean, there's
I'm
certain,
the special
there's
one.
certain things that I can't do that his wife can do, you know, for him. But, you know, there's other things that I can do that she probably can't. So I'll leave that to the viewers to decide what those things are.
So do you ever just take a moment to have a quiet beer with each other and just think, fuck, look, we've done well.
We did
Like,
the other day. We did the other day, and that was like after the award. We were sort of like, wow, like that was cool. And then like the first time we ever got the first person that called TX, that's right, like the service, like we'd literally just like plug the phone number in, and then I don't know if we hadn't even done a post or let anyone know it was live yet. And then someone it was a bloke on a job site, a major job site in Brisbane in the city, and he just called up, and I just remember
He was having an anxiety attack.
yeah, an
on
anxiety
site.
attack, and he called, and then Mams, who used to run the charity for us, like texted us and was like, "Lads, like we just got one," and like
We just both sat at our desk.
I just like, we were just like,
wow.
whoa, fuck, it's
Like,
it's
that's cool.
happening, like it's happening,
Yeah.
and then
We
and
also
then,
blew though. Oh, geez, we've had some
fucking
stinks.
blue,
Yeah.
great blues,
Yeah,
but
bloody
also
oath.
like it's like
We've
yeah.
gotten good at conflict resolution. And we, like he knows, we both know when the other one's got the shits with the other one. You don't have to guess.
just
Yeah.
body
Body
language,
language
just
is, you know.
fucking is off. You know,
Yeah.
I've done something here.
Yeah.
You know, and there's always a blow up. It always comes to a head somehow, and then we always have it out. You know what I mean? And we've got good at having it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing. Like we've never run and hid from the hard conversations, which I guess is what our business is all about.
And actually, you know what I've realised, like when we do blue, again, it's like a marriage. We don't actually blue for either to have a win. We just have it out. You know what I mean? Like we'll niggle at each other. Like him driving here today, like he was trying to beat me to get here. Like I knew he was. And then, you know what I mean? Like that's just niggles banter, right? And then he fucking missed the turn and I made it here first. So he looked like an idiot. But when we have
God,
like,
I didn't realise it was that obvious.
but when you have like a fucking almighty, like it's on, it's just so we can both be understood of how we're feeling. It's not I'm right, you're fucking wrong. This is it. This is how I felt. This is what's happened. This can't happen again. It's like totally. I'm sorry. That's what you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not I'm better. You lose. It's never been that. Which is like the whole reason it's still working.
Yeah.
It feels like a pretty unique relationship, to be honest. And like we came in as mates, we're still mates now. You know, being in business together is very different to being mates, to be honest. And we've always traversed that line, I guess, because you know when conversations need to be had, you've got to find a way to have them. Because you know one thing that we've learned from I guess we are on our podcast, Josie Tucker. If it's on your mind, it matters.
Yeah.
And it's and it's very true. Like if you're stewing on thoughts, if you've got something going on there, it doesn't go away, and it will find a way to come out of you. And I guess that's like a lot of things, like stress or like any mental illness or you know whatever you're going through, whatever emotion. If it's true and you're feeling it, it will find a way to come out somehow.
Yeah.
Just depends what that looks like, you know.
And normally it's when your things aren't going well. Because like, and Dan again like says it all the time. It's so true. Like if something might be happening, like small things, like the way you're applying an email or something, right? Just the way you end it, just randomly.
And
right?
I don't even think that's like that's
No,
not even being a thing, right?
but just a small
Use
thing.
it as an example.
Just an example. There's a small thing, and then there'll be like one other little small thing, and one other little small thing. But it's not enough to go, oi, just stop fucking doing that because this is why, right? And then it'll get to a point where, like, big sale fell through, or someone's late to a meeting, and then fuck all of those other things tip off in that one instance.
Well, this happened, but then that happened.
And then you're a fucking bastard because you never fucking did that. And it's like, whoa, man, I was fucking 5 minutes late to a meeting. Like, don't fucking, shoot my head off. But that's what can happen if you're not having those conversations. And like Dan, even today, pulled me up on something that I no fucking idea I'd done wrong. And he just told me, I was like, okay, cool. I know that now. I won't do that again. You know what I mean? So it's like that level of openness and transparency to
Definitely a
just nip shit in
marriage.
the bud. Oh, mate, fuck it.
Definitely.
There you go.
Marriage.
There you go. So yeah, it's very interesting, but it's like we've learned a lot about relationships through our own business journey for sure. And it takes work. It takes work, and like I'm sure it's the same as any business relationship, any marriage, you know, even mateships, all this kind of stuff. Like relationships that are worthwhile take work. There's never a point I think where you got it nailed. You know, and you've always got to have the hard conversations.
So did you? Because I think it blows my mind that you guys were carpenters, and now you're running you're a fashion business, aren't you?
Well, so this is the difficulty. Yes, that is the case, and we've always tried to grapple with this whole thing of we are a fashion business, but we've always been uncomfortable with that description because we don't identify as that.
Yeah.
But we're traversing this line again of workwear, fashion, social impact, mental health, community, all this kind of stuff. Like it's quite a unique mix of things. But I think the fact that we are tradies is why we've been able to, I guess, get this far because we've looked at it through a different lens.
But I think what I was trying to get at, like, you never know where your journey's going to take you, and if you're not open-minded enough to talk about things and have, like, you guys have definitely had a crack, like, to come up with that idea and then come from where you've come from, and everyone can tell how passionate you guys are about it now. Like, it's just when you're in a room, it's
Well, it's interesting. My wife yesterday said she's like, when she's talking to her psychologist, had this realization. It's like, you know, people either live life or people live through life. You know what I mean? And like I proudly know that like we're like living our life, like we're having a fucking go. You know what I mean? Like we're just sitting back waiting for it to happen. We're just like, fuck, righto, let's have a go at it. You know what I mean?
We're living in this. It's the stress. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, like, mate, this is what it's all about.
The big stress. But that
you never know where your path's going to take you.
And that's the thing. Like when I was a chippy, like the natural progression from being a chippy is to become a builder, right?
Yeah.
But not every chippy is cut out to, you know, run a business as a sole trader or whatever. You don't learn that stuff. And not every chippy is cut out to become a builder and run a business, because being a builder, as you know, is nowhere near the same as being a chippy.
Yeah.
Completely different set of skills.
But any trade, like any.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, any trade, totally. And like you know, through my journey as a carpenter, like I worked for a lot of builders, right? And they were of different, you know, quality in terms of how they run a business and how they manage themselves. And the overarching thing was there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of, you know, lost time with the family, all this kind of stuff. And I always questioned, like, is that what I want? Like, I don't know. Then it's like, well, what do I want? And so I was probably in a world where, happy as a chippy, love going to work every day and seeing what you build. That's a great feeling. But I'm like, I don't know what if I want, you know, being a builder, but I don't know what it is I do want. And it's amazing how, like, if it wasn't for that time on the tools, that being a stepping stone to get to be doing this, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't have the credibility to be doing what we're doing now, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing what happens.
So like I think some people get so tied up in like constantly trying to figure out what do I want to do, and especially these days with social media, they think they have to follow a certain path. And I think the fact that you guys have got off that typical path and had a crack like at what you're doing is just incredible, and it's definitely an inspiration for everybody, I think.
Thanks, mate.
Definitely doesn't feel inspirational. So like, come run it. You know what I mean? Like, the code to the door is whatever. You know, like come on in. You know what I mean? But yeah, totally. Like I get that, and I hope that like anyone out there that has an idea or wants to have a go at something, fucking do it, because you're going to be in a pine box one day.
Yeah.
If you don't fucking have a go, you'll never know. And what is the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think that in regards to like, going out and starting a business and having a crack, that the only thing that you will do is learn. Yeah. You're just going to learn so much shit. Like we have learned so much stuff and continue to. And it's just like...
So what's next? What's next for Trademutt? What's the...
Well, that's a great question.
Good question. So, I mean, obviously, commercially, we're always sort of strategizing as to how, I mean, at the moment, you know, say within the business itself, like we've got a huge magnifying glass on our operating expenses and, you know, the profitability of the business and what's working and what's not, looking heavily at data, you know, how we optimize our team and all that kind of stuff, because we've been direct online, you know, since the get-go. We sort of said no to a whole lot of retail stuff because we never wanted to dilute our brand.
Yeah.
We were very protective of what we were doing, and we thought, no.
It's like subbies being out there doing your brand. You're like,
Like we were talking
it's
about,
not
you know,
me."
we care so much about the product and the customer experience. It's like we didn't want people to miss out on that. But, you know, now we're looking at it, you know, thinking, well, people who buy stuff online are not the same customer that goes into a shop to buy this stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're getting into sort of, you know, siloing, I guess, our product offerings and our revenue streams and looking at how we can optimize our operation. So that's the whole thing. We're not, you know, we don't have it all sorted by any stretch of the imagination, but we're like actively working on how to do that. We're asking for help. We're talking to, you know, finance people, and we're looking at every element of the business and thinking, how can we optimize this to make it better?
Yeah.
So that ultimately we can grow the business and then ultimately make more impact. So yeah, at the moment we're heavily working on the business, you know, to make that work.
I love the fact you mentioned data, mate. Like, if anyone had told me when I was younger or at high school, whatever, like data's key, you got to know your data, you got to do this, you got to do that. I've like just in one ear, out the other,
it's
over the
hard,
top of my head. But data is everything.
Totally.
If
It's
you're
hard
not
to- it's
reviewing
hard,
your data and seeing where you can chop and change and pull back on running costs and overheads and take the business in other directions, like that's what's going to make or break you.
Oh, totally. And I suppose that's the biggest thing we've learnt. And I mean, we tell everyone about that. It's like the numbers don't lie. That's what it is. That's everything that's going to, you know, keep your business either lights on or they're going to turn them off.
Yeah.
And if you're not across them, and it's the same. Like so many of my mates that are in the building construction game that have got their businesses, and like that's what they're going through right now, because everyone starts out and like, oh yeah, here's some money and I do a job and I pay myself and sweet, and then all of a sudden you got to get utes and you got to get staff, and you got to get more tools, and you got to get all this stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, hold on, now I've got all this other shit. And I'm still charging myself out at this rate. Hold on, nothing. It's not really making sense here because my account doesn't look like it should. And yeah, it's just all these realizations.
And you've talked, like I've heard you talk about this stuff a lot, you know, like knowing the numbers in your business. Am I making money? Like charging yourself out at a rate, and does that cover all your overheads? Do you understand the true operating expenses of the business?
Yeah.
And almost always it's no. But
Because
also
no one teaches you.
no one teaches you. But no one has ever really encouraged. Again, and sort of back to, I guess, the genesis of what we're about is this whole vulnerability piece and ask for help. No one's ever really encouraged people to sort of reach out and explore, you know, and ask for that help and show that vulnerability, because, you know, people for some reason do perceive it as like, oh, I'm supposed to know. You don't come out of Cert 3 carpentry and know how to read fucking data.
And
Like,
you only know what you
way.
know. Because and like a good mate of mine the other day was like, they figured out that he was only making enough money to make like his wage. And I was like, well, that's literally, you're better off going and having a fucking job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And well, that's something. And look, I've had to learn all this. I'm the first one to put my hand up. Like it's okay not to know all this. But and like you just said, like that tends to be what happens with our industry, whether it's a carpenter and a lot of the time it's builders. They actually have bought themselves a bad paying job.
Oh.
Like they're taking on all the risk, and they're only earning what they would earn if they went and worked for someone else.
But the thing is now,
But they get to tell people that I'm a business owner. I run a business.
But the thing is,
know?
we've had these conversations, and now, like that mate of mine is making massive change in his business, which is fucking awesome. And it's like, I had dinner with another mate last night, and he's like, there's a couple of fixed contracts that he's like just going to break even. Now he's just cost plus. He's like, I only do cost plus, because he's like,
Which is that even still a thing?
Whoa, I'd be very careful.
yeah, but you know what I mean.
Here we go, can of worms.
Here we go. No, but you know what I mean. It's just like that. He's like, that de-risked it for me now.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
anyway, we'll talk about that another time.
No, let's unpack this. Let's unpack it. Come on.
Cost plus are they. If people understand them and an expectation is set, then they can be very successful. But what I've found from experience and a lot of builders I talk to, like you've got to get a lot of legal advice. They become more available, or I guess more being used with what's happening in the industry at the moment, because you can't control these price increases. But the situation you get into with a cost plus contract is, and look, for my business, it wouldn't matter because we track all our data and we could easily show the clients things. But what you get into, if a builder's already or a tradie's already running a bad business and not managing everything well, you put an invoice into the client and the client starts saying, well, hang on a minute, you've billed me for your guys being here at 7 every morning. I've been watching them. They turn up at 7:15 and 7:30 and like, can you show me their timesheets? And then it can move on to, well, you've billed me for 130 lengths of timber. I was on site when that got delivered and it was 120. Like and obviously it depends on the client.
Totally.
But
Managing expectations.
so you
it's
can get
a
into
big
a
one, right?
situation, and so the biggest hurdle with cost plus contracts is the administration. And so when you get a tradie or a builder that isn't running a good business to start with, the extra administration time it takes to manage a cost plus contract they can get in a far worse position.
Right. Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
they're good and bad, but
Hey, you're fucked either way. I'm not getting in the building game. I'm not getting in.
mate, it's a hard game, and that's what I love what you guys are doing, and like with my Live Like Build business that we're training builders and helping mentor and stuff. Like, it's not just Amelia and I; we get other professionals in, but like probably the biggest thing we've become proud of with that business is we've created a community where builders they put up their hand. I don't know that, and they feel comfortable to ask questions, not just to us, but to other builders in the group and in the community, and it's just fantastic. But I think it's across. Well, it's not just our industry, is it? As you guys are finding out,
It's every business.
It's every business.
Service based,
You would have,
product based, whatever.
you would have seen heaps. So have you been seeing heaps of strife with fixed contracts during this period, like costs
massive,
and
mate.
prices
Massive,
going up?
mate.
Like what actually happens there? Like, because I'm like, wow, the cost of steel going up. The way it has in timber and this.
It's huge, mate, and we've definitely had to adjust our business model over the last little while. But look, I think. And look, I'm definitely no expert in this, but like I've definitely, like, it's a purpose for me now. Like, I'm on a mission to create a new industry, like one that is acceptable to talk and to ask questions and to have an association that helps people with real life stuff. Like, that's why like my software Quoties is doing really well, because it's made by tradies, and like Live Like Build's doing really well because it's Amelia and I. We're in the industry. We're not someone that's just putting our hand up and saying, hey, we can help fix this, and we don't actually have any experience with it. But I think what's got us in a lot of trouble is most people don't understand our industry. Like, our industry tends to be a bit of a prop for governments and things to get the economy going, or like you see every time there's a downturn, they just throw money at us. So we've got in a situation where we've got, like, let's face it, tradies get into an industry because we hate sitting in the classroom. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I hate being told what to do. I hate sitting in the classroom. Like, I want to be outside, like you said at the start, like chilling with the boys, cranking the tunes, like giving shit on site. So they throw all this money at. We've got a huge industry that's full of people that are very good, or most of them very good at what they do, they're trade or a builder, but have no understanding of the business side. And then they bring this grant in to push the economy along. You got all these traders and builders seen as an opportunity to grow their turnover, grow their business. They're not running a good business to start with. And like, one of the big volume builders was even doing it. Like, when they had that grant, there was these massive builder was like, sign a contract now, sort out your plans later. So we ended up, and look, we're just finishing up our last one now. And so that's nearly 2 years. But you end up in a situation where you've got all these clients that come through wanting to get this grant. All these builders signed fixed price contracts. The grant did what it was meant to do, and a lot better. And the economy went like, the building industry went like this. Availability, materials ran out. The whole, like, Europe did it, America did it. No materials, prices went through the roof, and now you got thousands of builders trying to finish fixed price contracts. Like, there's been so many reports, bloody builders in New South Wales averaging a loss of 40,000 per job. Like in Queensland, literally this year, hundreds of builders will either go bankrupt or shut their business down. Like, it's hard,
Mate,
yucca.
and that causes some epic stress. Like, the stress that comes from that kind of situation, just for individuals running those businesses, is immense. Financial stress is insane. Feeling the responsibility of having staff and families and all this kind of stuff, and then you get really deep into the mental health component of the whole thing, and it is scary. It's like, wow.
Well, the way someone described it to me this week is like, you get out of bed to go work for nothing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realise.
No,
they don't
but
realise.
that's what he said. He's like, mate, you get out of bed and you go work for fucking nothing, and it's like,
Well, they're calling it the boom of no profits and bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. But the thing is, and you guys are on it as well. Like, it's nobody's fault. Like, they're tradies. They're good at their craft. They're good at being
not deliberately going to fuck it up.
No, but they but yeah, I think a lot of them do take it very personal that they don't understand the business. And like, one of the things we do with our members is, one of the very first exercises we do is get them to understand their overheads and running costs. And like, it's like all of them, it can take a little
a
while
shock,
with a few of them
yeah.
to talk them through it, and sometimes you got to do it multiple times. But it's like bang, we increase our overheads, we cover all of our costs, we're making money.
Totally.
And
That's the first step.
yeah, and I'm sure you guys have had that lesson in business as well. Like you had a pretty steep growth, didn't you, when you first started?
Major growth. And as
Well,
I
obviously
said,
65 grand from sitting on a shitter. So
yeah.
Good start.
God, yeah, for 24 hours. My God. Yeah. No, but exactly. And that's the thing. And yeah, you're constantly, I think you're just constantly learning those lessons, right? Learning it, constantly applying, what you learn to try and not make the same mistakes again. And I think that's the key thing. Like Ed says as well, persistence is key. I think that's what business is all about that. He who, or she who, stays the journey will eventually come out, the winner. So, you don't just keep making the same mistakes. But yeah, it's hard, man. Like even now, like looking at spreadsheets, looking at, P&L statements, looking at, forecast projections for, 2022, 23, like looking at the spreadsheets, it puts me to sleep. I'm like, what? It just makes me go cross-eyed, you know what I mean? But like we say to each other, we've got to learn to love this. Like we've got to just learn to love it. And you're right, it takes looking at the same thing, not once, but like 5, 6, 7, 10 times, you know what I mean? Until you like understand what it starts to mean, and then you start to connect the dots, So it's like, you got to stay at it. You got to keep at it. Not easy, but yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't have some of the help that we had too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, awesome, boys. So what do you do to get away from it? Like what's your escape? Like,
For me, like
Heroin.
I've seen.
That's a first in all this time. That's
Yeah,
a
I thought
first.
that'd throw that
It's
one.
like, that's what it's been. This whole time. I was wondering how you were managing.
Oh, it's going to be an argument on the way home.
No, but if it wasn't, that'd be something else. No, for me, really understanding in the stressful times what it is that fills your cup. For me, like I'm in a couple of social cricket teams. I play 2020 on Sundays. I play indoor on a Tuesday night. If we get rained out on a Sunday, or if we've got a bye or something on a Tuesday night and I don't play, I notice a difference in myself that week. I'm just like, something's not quite right. Like for me, it's really important to, understand who is in my support network outside of work, who my mates are, my family and stuff that I can rely on, spending time with them, talking shit, doing the things that I love, like cricket, like getting away on the weekends when we can, like that kind of stuff. Like you got to know what it is that fills your cup for sure. So
Well, mine's just watching rugby league and going to the gym and stuff's been good for me this year. And then just spending time with mates basically. Just that switch off time on weekends, not answering the phone outside of hours, just being really strict on yourself and being like, nah, like it's not now, that's a later.
Yeah.
Do that later thing. So.
unless it's me.
Yeah. You have some benders.
Sorry,
don't
love
you?
Dan's when you.
I've seen some photos of you, mate. I know you have some benders. You like getting
What photos have you seen? Are they the ones in dresses and high heels and
I haven't
stuff?
seen any.
That
in
is a
dresses.
good photo.
When
a
else
great
have you
photo,
put up?
actually.
Mate, I'm keen to see
Yeah,
this
so
stuff.
am I.
Yeah, I mean, I've dragged you out of a few scenarios, haven't I? So anyway,
So look, we'll really appreciate you coming in. I definitely think your
us.
purpose is incredible. I think you're only going to be very successful, I think, from what you're doing. And so for the people that are listening, like, how do they find you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, Trademutt, TRADEMUTT.com. And if anyone wants to reach out to TAX for early to mid-level mental health interventions, just 04888 469 88.
Yeah, awesome. Well,
mate, you got it. You said it all.
Thanks for having us, mate.
Yeah,
no worries.
It's great to watch your journey too, mate. You're talking about throwing yourself in the deep end, and so you're doing the exact same thing. You're out there. You got your quoting app. You're doing Live Life Build. You got your own building company. Like it's also motivating and inspiring to see what you're doing as well. So,
cheers, mate.
Right back at ya.
No, I appreciate it. So, look, guys, we'll wrap that one up. But as usual, you got any questions, you want to know anything, you want to come on the podcast, give us a shout out. Cheers, guys. Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Duayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.